Ba-ra-ba-ba-ba-bum, bum, 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 bee-ba-doop-ba-ba. Hello, Shelley. How are you today?
Hello, Brandon.
Shelley, it's good to talk to you again it's been such a
It's
long time. It's I think
been
I think
a
7 minutes.
good to see you again, and yes, so good to join in a bit of the harmonies of your hold music as well. There's also that also is a fun way to take up these minutes as we're waiting for everyone to gather around.
I really like the idea of hold music for that. Yeah, that kind of is what it is. I realized I
It's
started
totally
doing
hold
that.
music, just
It
because
puts
it's
me
operatic.
in the right mood. I feel like it's actually more for me than it is for anybody else. I do it for a while. Hello, everybody. Shelley, is it okay if I turn the chat on?
Turn the chat on, please. I think we're ready to go. We're 3 minutes in, so I think we can get going. Hello, everyone who's here. So good to have everyone in the audience. And I know a lot of people have messaged me to say, is there going to be a recording? I know this time is a very busy time for everyone. Certainly in South Africa, here where I am. It's our summer, it's our big holiday season. So people are caroling, people are having parties and all sorts of other things. So there will be a recording of this. So hello to everyone who's on the recording as well. But yes, Brandon, let's take it away. We're ready to go.
Hello. Yes, hello to people in the future. Some of you know me. My name is Brandon. I'm the founder of Science is Weird, and I am the co-founder. I was the co-founder. I think we never stops being a co-founder with my friend Alessandro Gelmi, Dr. Alessandro Gelmi. Oh gosh, what, like 2 years ago of the inaugural Learning in Depth Quest, we should say. Hallie, welcome to the Learning in Depth Quest, or LiD Quest, to its friends and enemies also. We have a bunch of other people who are working on this. I've mentioned Dr. Gelmi. He is in Italy. We worked our butts off for an entire summer, 2 summers ago, to get the initial version of this up. And we were very happy with what we came up with, especially as we knew that we'd only make it better and better from here. And in the last few years, we have two people who have really stepped up from just having been participants in it the first time to both lead it on a daily, hourly, really hard, wonderful basis, and then to continue to evolve it to greater stages of perfection. We have here Shelley from South Africa. She's the director of Learning in Depth Quest. She is right now coming off of 12 weeks of just running it and bleeding it out. This new version that we've done, this new 12-week version. And we should have here today Andy in Hong Kong. Andy is not here right now because he got his jaw broken like a week and a half ago from, I believe, defending his family from Chinese crocodile lizards, which are endemic to Hong Kong. Always something to watch out for. Shelley, where do you want to start with this?
I want to start by saying hi, and yes, I absolutely do miss my usual co-host Andy. Not to say I'm not thrilled to be presenting with Mr. Brandon Hendrickson, but yes, Andy and I have guided a group of 70 learners through Learning in Depth Quest for 12 weeks. So that was our full cohort. And that was just amazing. And so, yes, to just say hi, I am Shelley Smith. I am a homeschooling mom and I am an educator. And now I have come to be the director of Learning in Depth Quest. And what made Learning in Depth Quest extra special this last full cohort is that I got to do Learning in Depth Quest in my own homeschool and with my two kids. And so there we go. We just posted a link to a Padlet board. So what we're doing in this Padlet board here is we'd like you to use this emoji sticker on the side here and tell us where in the world are you from. So we have a few people from South Africa over here in Johannesburg, and we have someone here from Minnesota. Let's see. Oh, we have some others joining us. If you want to, you can make your little icon a bit smaller. There we go. You get in it. Everyone's getting it. So you can just come and add your emoticon, choose an emoticon that looks like you or that just feels like you. Like, so maybe you are this Disguised face. Oh, there we go. We've got someone from North Africa. I wonder. Okay, yes. Okay, we're moving. We're moving from the middle of the board. Okay, yeah, yeah. Okay. This is a trip around the world. There we go. Okay, people are moving their emojis. So now, our US friends, if you want to you know what, keep going. But I know that there's going to be a lot of US friends here. So when you're ready, I'm going to stick with us here for a while because Brandon, you have got someone in your glasses right now, is like living, I don't know, maybe like, is that Chicago somewhere there?
That would be
But
Ontario, actually, I believe. Right
okay.
there on,
Oh,
well,
oh,
closer to Hudson Bay
maybe.
than Ontario is actually specifically. I'm in Minnesota. But
Okay.
we have infestations of all sorts of tiny people here in Minnesota. They're prone to living blind. It's just the right warmth this time of the winter.
Perfect. There we've got, yes, that must be someone from Canada. That's going a little too far north. So those of our friends who, oh no, no, we're shifting down. We're shifting down a little bit. Okay, this is so fun, everybody. Okay, and now, do you want to have a go at? I see some of our US friends are posting. It's some people from the Pacific Northwest. Is that Seattle, Brandon?
That
Heart
is Seattle
eyes.
right there, or Renton or Olympia. Yeah.
Okay, there we go. Uh,
Yellup. No.
cool. There we are. Okay, now you guys are really testing my knowledge of US states, which I feel I can get a pass on.
Do we have somebody
Uh,
in Milwaukee here? Somebody here from Milwaukee? I'm from Milwaukee originally. That's kind of exciting. I've also lived in Seattle. Haven't spent much time on
Yay.
the East Coast.
Yeah, lovely. I'm sure all of you in the East Coast are having a nice, cozy, cold Christmas at the moment. I hope you are all keeping warm. Oh, there's someone from California. So if you can go to that Padlet board again and share with us, are you homeschooling? Are you in traditional school? Or are you doing some kind of hybrid or something completely different? Something in between. So there we go. People are posting their emojis. Yeah, now you've got space to actually make big emojis. We've got a good homeschooling contingent here. Fellow homeschoolers like me. Uh,
Shelley, how did you get into homeschooling?
we did 6 weeks of traditional school, and that was enough.
I'm
Let's
just
just say
imagining
that.
from personal experience what those 6 weeks must have been like for you guys.
Yeah, yeah. I then read Ainsley Alment's The Call of the Wild and Free and Julie Bogart's The Brave Writer, and I've never looked back. And then, of course, I came across Brandon Hendrickson and Science is Weird and Kieran Egan, and yeah, life never is the same again. So there we go. Okay, quite a few homeschoolers. I love how Star Eyes there is between homeschooling and hybrid alternative schooling. This is what life is like at the moment. We're charting our own course. Okay, cool. So, and then we've got a few in traditional school and some somewhere in between, which is very cool. Okay, great. Thanks, everyone. So now I just want to throw this out to you all again with the emoji, just establishing where we're at right now. Now, Brandon has done a lot in his Egan Education workshops. Brandon, you talk about the OMG problems. You ask us this very scary question of, do you think the kids are all right? So we're not going to go that that far of whether we think the kids are all right. But I want to just know from everyone's experience, drop an emoji into these boxes. The numbering is not of any significance. Which one of these like resonates or sounds familiar? Drop it into the box where it sits. There we go. You're all getting it. This is amazing. So the idea of follow your interests, they say, but we don't really have a thing. Or unless you count Minecraft, does that count as a thing?
Pretty
We
sure that
learn a
Roblox
lot.
is a thing.
I,
Pretty sure that leads to good kids just doing Roblox forever. That I'm sure that leads to good long-term life outcomes.
well, we can be a test case. I, number two is that we learn a lot, but we don't always have much to show for it, or let's be honest, show off about. You know, all the holiday feasts and affairs are coming up. Like sometimes you're like, oh, a cousin so and so has like achieved like these major honors at school, but like we've got all these interests, but not much to show for it. Number three is like doing research usually means quick answers on Google or our dear friend AI, who we love, but also are very scared of, or just finding a YouTube video and then like you just get a minimal answer. A lot of school style work feels boring, fake, or not very us. That was part of, I think that's been a big part of my experience as well. I'm gonna like put an emoji there. Learning can feel a bit lonely. We've got one person there where learning feels lonely. But
That's very meta sad,
yeah,
actually.
yes, yes. Uh, is there no one else who wants to, yeah, who wants to join in? Um, so yeah, this is interesting. I think maybe in our global world we are coming together. Oh, yay! We've got a friend who's also feeling a little bit lonely and they're learning. Or number six, like we're happy to learn until it stops feeling easy. And this is a big one for often our gifted and talented learners who are like really naturally good at something. And then when it starts feeling hard, it's like, oh, I'm just gonna give up because I can't, I really don't want this to flop because I'm good at stuff.
I get the opportunity to work with a lot of gifted and talented homeschoolers, and especially a lot of profoundly gifted and talented homeschoolers, kids whose IQs just dwarf my own. And I know from working with them for a long time that one of the problems that keeps coming up is a sort of learned helplessness specifically because things are typically so easy that one does not is harder, right? There are fewer natural opportunities to learn the abilities to the skills and the habits to just keep plugging away at something, which is this, sick, ironic thing, which is one of the things that we specifically try to work on with learning in depth to give people this, to help people find these opportunities to sit in sort of a productive, what am I doing? But then to
Yeah.
also make it interesting enough and personally meaningful enough. And then we get to the number four there. A lot of school style work feels boring, fake or not very us. That there is an intrinsic reason to want to keep working through this ughness of things. For me, the ones that I put in, I'm the dork with the glasses and the braces. Actually, I've never actually had braces except for today. Though I do like those glasses that my avatar has. But my big one is number four, and then number one, follow your interests, but we don't really have a thing. That I'm all about the passion-led learning. I'm all about the everything is secretly fascinating, and when learning is done right, you should be experiencing it existentially transformative. I'm teaching a lesson today on frosting that gets kids to, sort of look at frosting and the way they experience frosting. This is when science is weird, like shudder at what the self is. The trouble with, I found from years of working with kids, is that when you have kids just follow their interests, they tend to be following the superficial parts of their interests, and then they never get beyond scratching the surface of those interests. And while they may pile up a lot of information about this, they never end up changing themselves. So this is part of what learning it was part of what we set learning in depth up to do, was to help cultivate these relationships that kids can have with these parts of the world that end up changing them, that they end up growing through.
Oh yeah, that's part of what I absolutely love about learning in depth is that these kids bring themselves and they find their thing. So that's kind of like what's maybe lacking. Let's talk about what sounds cool. Okay, so these are some of the things honestly that we do bring in learning in depth. I want to hear from all of you, like what sounds cool to you of these things. So number one of like learning that feels like an adventure, like an epic quest. And here I have learned with my kids that I approach learning as a Ravenclaw, but yet they approach learning as a Gryffindor, as like this epic quest where there are games. They love Quidditch. They love the like actually beating the game. So that to me is like what I think there's some secret sauce in learning in depth there. So we've got a few other people who feel that way. Finding awesome things in a topic that you might have thought was boring. Would that be cool to you? Does that sound cool to you? A game plan for research that includes AI but goes way beyond it. We're not going to really get away from AI, but how are we going to do research that goes beyond AI? Number four is playful, creative, even zany ways to think about what you've learned. So, yes, turning yourself into an old granny to do a comedy skit, stuff like that, making prank spice cookies. Um, Sharing what you've learned in a way that captivates everyone. So, I'm talking here from Gen Alphas to Gen Zs to the boomers to the Gen Xers. Like, actually, you're not that like nerd who like can go wax on lyrical about one thing a whole lot, but that you can actually captivate people with the cool things you've learned about your topic. And then is the community aspect of learning with other curious people who make it more fun. Does that sound cool to you? And I'm a bit of an introvert, and I would not typically say that I need to have other people like to learn with. But I've seen in Learning Depth how on this quest we have our live meetups and we have our discussion groups, and I've seen the connection that all these students have made and how I've made connections. We had one student whose topic was paint and their uses, and she got into this whole thing about different shades of white paint.
Huh.
And I recently saw that the color of the year was called dusky cloud or something like that. Basically,
Huh.
it's white is the color of the year. And I was like, I've got to send this to her. So, like, this is what learning in community is all about. So, I can see there's lots of people who are excited about learning that feels like an adventure. That's cool. We've got upside down faces. I think is I've like works between the lines kind of person, but I think they're going with playful and zany ways and this adventure. I think those two played really nicely together. And yes, all of these things are what we've baked into Learning in Depth Quest. So we're going to tell you more about Learning in Depth Quest, but if you like are saying, okay, this sounds awesome, I want to enroll, I'm ready to go for the 12 weeks. It's from January 19th. We're going to start with some orientation from January 14th. For January 19th through to April 10th, if you want to do that, you can go right now to learningindepth.quest/enroll. There we are. Learning in Depth Quest /enroll. I'm going to pop it in the chat. That's going to be the best way to do it. And listen, if you go to learningindepth.quest, you can click on about 1,000 buttons and it will take you there. Brandon has said to me before, I think we can take about half of these enroll buttons away. So don't worry. If you
Did I? That seems like terrible marketing advice. You should not trust that at all.
see how many buttons I'd put up there. Okay, so that if you want to enroll, it's $360 for the first learner in your family. And then we love families learning together. So we give a discount for the additional learners. And parents, that additional learner could be you. So you then would get a $100 discount to join within that household or in that family. We do provide a high touch service and a mentorship. So we guide you through each step of the journey. And so it's not just content that we're giving you individualized guidance through this whole process.
One of the things that we
Mm,
that Alessandra and I had a big decision to make when we were starting this is did we well after the first time that we did it is which of the two directions, right, did we want to go? Did we want to make this a thing that everybody in the world can experience really easily, and then as a necessary part of that have it be lower touch, have it be a sort of more automated sort of process? Or do we want to go the opposite and do high touch and make this a thing that people actually experience human involvement with? And we went back and forth on this for a good long time. And for most of that time, I think we actually thought we were going to go with option A. And we realized that in ways that maybe we'll be able to express as we go about in this, like there is this very complex, beautiful paradigm that we are trying to bring into existence of what education can be, and that was more likely to be lost if we went with that sort of easy, everybody sort of route. Uh, so when we say that we have decided to go that second way, it's not because we wanted to make more money. It's not because we wanted to be greedy in any way. In fact, our plans would ordinarily have us go toward the let's get this out for everybody. But there is something that is the essence of learning, the essence of really wonderful human learning that is hard to put into words. Ask me how I know that. Is the reason that we've decided to go toward this more high-end model for this. Maybe eventually we will get the cranks
Yeah,
worked out and everything will be able to make this for everybody. And that would be cool too. But for right now, this is so hard to do wonderfully that we have
yeah.
decided to go that route.
Yes. And to Nia's question, a great question, are there limited spots? Yes, there are limited spots. So the way we are approaching this is we're going with a rough guide of 20 learners per mentor. So we've got Andy and we've got myself. So the cap is at 40 learners in the cohort. If we then start getting we will then have to make a decision. If we start getting more learners, we will then bring on an extra mentor so that we can offer that a high touch service. So there are limited spots. There will be a point where we go, okay, we're going to cap it at that many learners for this many mentors. Yes. So if you are interested, I'd suggest getting on board now. In terms of the payments, I'm going to just mention this now. Right now, we only have a pay in full option. In the future, we will introduce a monthly payment plan. If you are interested in a monthly payment plan, then reach out to us.
Shelley,
Excellent.
can
Let's
I ask
just,
a big question here? Because I feel like we have not yet defined what is this learning in depth quest. Just in a nutshell, what is this thing that we're doing?
yeah. Okay, Brandon. This is a question that a lot of my friends have been asking me. Shelley, what are you doing at the moment? And so I have to answer this question. For me, what learning in depth does for me as a homeschooling parent is it actually takes all the other learning beyond language and math, okay? And it puts it into this very cool container. And whatever learning you do sits in the learning in depth container. But beyond that, is to my point earlier, is that it turns learning into an epic quest. I have a board game in mind, and Andy, my co-mentor, is a big board game guy. He is big into board games, and so is Alessandro. The two of them are real board game nerds. And I have seen the power of this. So it could even be, our Roblox, Minecraft, even a video game. It turns learning into this quest where you are the hero
Hmm,
of that journey.
hmm,
And
hmm.
you bring something, and as you go through the quest, as you go through that learning, you change. So it is a story arc, it's a narrative arc, it's something completely different to what you would do at school where you need to cover a curriculum. We take a topic and we break through its crust in the first part. And then we start diving really deep and we start doing research and we converge on a particular part of that topic that sounds really interesting. And then once we've done that research, we start playing with it. So that's our third phase of our process. And that's when things like the startup comes to bear and we shrink down and we tell a story of what would it be like if you were a piece of algae on a piece of coral. And his topic is coral. So I know now a lot about coral. So you now create all these very creative quests, which that's what kids tell me. I would never have done this at school. But then it culminates. And I think this is what LiD Quest is amazing at. It culminates in a masterpiece. It's not everything that they've learned in 12 weeks because they've learned a lot, but it is the best, the pièce de résistance of what they have learned, and they highlight that in a masterpiece that I mean my kids have they did videos, they each did a video and shared it with their grandparents and have shared it with their friends, and it's like something that they can really be proud of. So we guide them through that learning journey and they walk away with something really cool and they walk away, Brandon, we sometimes say that they walk away experts. I like to use the word enthusiasts,
Hmm.
that they
Oh,
become enthusiasts about their topic.
can we use the
Um,
word geeks?
Also cool. I like that too.
We are a machine for making geeks.
Yeah.
We should not lead with that in marketing. Can I ask you a couple more
Yes.
just defining
Mm.
questions in this?
Yeah,
The
yeah, yeah.
length of it. How long is it?
So the program is 12 weeks. And then this is a question I get from a lot of parents, how long is it going to take per week? So minimum 3 to 5 hours per week. So if you can kind of look at like an hour a day, that would be ideal.
Here, can I reflect
This
some
is
of the things that I'm hearing that I'm hearing right back to you? So I'm hearing you say project based. Is that right?
it's different project based.
I know
It's
I hate most project things that go by the term project-based learning. I find them
mm,
despicable and anti-intellectual and horrible because they never
mm,
break through the surface. But there is some sort
mm.
of project-based, how can I put this? Topic-based.
Yeah.
There-
But yes, it's not just to complete that masterpiece. So that's why I don't like the term project-based per se. It's not
Mhm,
this outcome, and also a project-based program has got a defined outcome of like exactly what that looks like.
mhm.
In LiD, we have our LiD Talk framework. That's a kind of loose option for a framework. But Brandon, we have had from everything you've seen our LiD showcase board, from comedy skits to LiD talks to parody songs that have been performed to claymation, animation, storytelling, just like yeah, it's we've had the whole gamut. So we like to keep things very open of what the end product is. And it's also very much about that journey. It's not just forward towards an outcome.
Uh-huh.
It's about the change. It's about the growth that happens from stirring up wonder to doing the research to playing with your knowledge and then to producing that masterpiece.
This is an obvious question. Is it online?
Ah, thank you. Yes, it's all online and it's all asynchronous. So I will show you when I go back to share my screen, I'll show you it's run on Google Classroom and Padlets. And yes, we've got this Padlet that we're using is called Padlet Sandbox. The other Padlet I'll show you looks quite different, but learners can post their work there and then respond to each other's work. And it's just so fun. It's just so cool. So we want to create those relationships and it is all asynchronous. So you post your stuff and then you wait for comments and it's actually quite exciting. I've seen it with my kids. They're like, has someone commented on my piece? So are there going to be webinars? Nia, thank you so much for your questions. Are there going to be webinars like this or like a Zoom meeting? The answer is yes. So most of the course is all just asynchronous, but then we have weekly meetups. So those weekly meetups are optional. And initially we said fortnightly meetups, but they were so popular that we had to say, all right, we'll make them weekly. And we actually got another mentor to help us, Michelle, wonderful Michelle. And so we had a meetup in the week, and then we had a meetup on a Saturday to help with, if the kids have got school or they got other activities, they could come on the Saturday and then another option in the week. So they could come as much as once a week, but they're all optional. And we build those as like this kind of collaborative kind of idea. And we probably will be using more of these kinds of Padlet activities because we have had kids just chat like this, but some people don't want to do that. But also, what they've had so much fun with, and sometimes too much fun, is different masks and different cats on their heads with Google Meets. And we have seen, I will say, a correlation between those students who come to the meetups and then those who actually complete and get a lot out of the program.
You said
Yeah,
ages and kids and students. What are the ages that we're aiming for with this? How firm are those boundaries?
cool. Yeah. So this is an important one as well. So we've designed the program from around about 8 to around about 16. Let's say like sweet spot would be 11 to 16, but we've seen plenty of really successful kids. We had a 7-year-old who worked with her dad and was super successful. We actually had quite a few 7-year-olds in this last cohort. Yeah.
That's right. That's
So
right. That's right.
with parental support, will be fine. In fact, they will thrive. And often the support is around the technical aspects, just getting logged into Google Classroom and then like, oh, where do you post and where you find the link and all that kind of stuff. And then maybe also just challenging them to go further. That's what I found with my kids. Don't just take the first answer you get. What's the next thing? What else can we ask? So there's other things like that. But I'd say whatever age you've got, that this is a family affair. So at the almost bare minimum, shall we say, parents must chat to their kids about what they're learning and learning in depth. But if you're a parent, you can also join as a learner and get your own topic and get the mentorship and all the benefits of learning in depth quest. And then you actually model learning in depth for your kids. Because sometimes I took my son's topic and I was like, oh, I'm going to take some from Spice. My topic is exploration and so broad. And sometimes I was like, Spice is a lovely specific topic to use. And he was like, Mom, you're stealing my topic. So sometimes it's nice for the parents to have their own topic and stay in their lane.
When we actually started this, we didn't know which cohort would which age cohort would find this most exciting. And we had lots of adult learners in
Yeah.
it. And it just turns out that the direction that we've decided to go right now, just to work on the people who are most excited about signing up, have been students. But we don't do, I don't, I want to have no part in any kind of educational system, educational philosophy that is not equally intellectually vivid for adults as it is for even very young kids. And so I can just say that whatever your education or intellectual level is, like, you will find things in what we are doing that will excite you and deepen your knowledge on things that you had no idea about before. But sorry, that's probably a sign that we should probably move to these dull
Well,
topics that we are talking.
Shall we
I keep
shall
mentioning.
we shall we see what might excite you? So let's have a look at these topics. Let's start with which of those topics would you love to get? So I'm gonna throw out a few just so that you know what are some of the topics that you could get. So you could get agriculture. You could get under the category of animals, you could get fish. And notice we've got columns here. We've got 5 columns. I'll tell you about that in a minute. You've got dogs. Who would love to get dogs? Antarctica. That is something that I got with exploration.
What all of
Music.
these topics have in common is that they're sort of random and sort of boring, and that all of them can be engaged in an intellectually rich, wonderful way with many ways of understanding the world. To talk more about this, if anyone's interested, the person that we are pulling all of our educational planning from is a recently deceased educational philosopher named Kieran Egan. And I think it was 2012, maybe. 11. He wrote a book called Learning in Depth, a simple innovation that can transform schooling. This has been in practice in some small ways and some medium-sized ways in different schools, elementary, middle, and high schools throughout Canada and a bit in some other parts of the world since about 2010. But Egan was really big on showing off that you can just take any random topic in the world and you can start pursuing it, even if you're almost anybody, and then you can just fall in love with it. We start with these dull topics because we find empirically, not always, but in general, empirically, that when students start with topics that they understand themselves to already be interested in, they stop being interested in them. And that when we start with a very low expectation, I don't know, I'm trying to find a really boring one. I don't find anything boring in the world, so this is hard for me. But oh gosh, hands, feet, hooves, and paws. That's one of them
Mm.
under nature, about halfway down there. I have no particular interest in hands, feet, hooves, and paws at the moment, but it's hard for me to emulate somebody who's not naturally terrifyingly interested in all these things. But I know that when he throws a topic like that to people and then we call them pokes, we use some other phrases to talk about these sort of adventures, these sort of quests that we throw kids into, that we can make them immediately fascinated by them. And the way that we organize all of this is to make them fall in love with all these topics, first very quickly and then very deeply over a longer time.
Yeah. And a lot of people will say, don't you need to lead with interest-led learning? And don't you need to follow your interests? This is what's cool about a random topic is that you actually find the interest within that, knowing that in life you're going to be hit with stuff that isn't interesting. And often when kids start with a topic that they're interested in, they then go, oh, I chose the wrong topic. And it was me that was at fault. Whereas when they are handed a random topic and the challenge is to find what's interesting in that topic, that's like what's amazing. Okay, we're starting to wrap up. Post your questions if we haven't covered everything. Time always goes so quickly in these kinds of situations. And because this is so hard to try and get everything into 1 hour, I have created this Padlet board that you can find a link to on the website, but I'll also post a link and I think I'll send it on I have sent it on the email list. So I've created these videos. So if you want to see who is LiD Quest for, you can go and click on that video and go and watch that video and you'll get like a video answer for it. There we go. There's me. Okay, thank you, Shelley. And then I think I just want to share some testimonials from the kids and the students who have been involved in LiD. So from Elle said, I loved it. Weekly chats helped me feel connected to other learners and showed me the connections between our topics. I gained so much helpful feedback on how to collect data and research properly, and it let me unleash my creativity in ways that school doesn't let me. Thanks, y'all, for the hard work. You make kids like me feel seen. Oh
Ah.
my goodness, when I saw that phrase, I just was on the floor. Yeah, like that is what makes us do the work we do. Yeah, that was amazing. Brandon, can you read Hudson's?
LiD was a great experience for me. I felt like LiD taught me there is wonder in everything if you take the time to find it, which makes me feel so happy. This is, if there's one thing that I want to help kids see about the world, it's that. So Hudson, thank you for that.
No,
Xavier,
you.
aka Buzzy, says, before LiD, I knew literally nothing about light except that it would brighten up my room. With LiD, I learned so much. It has been amazing. Some parts were tough. Sometimes I was behind. Sometimes the pokes were hard, but it was extremely fun. And at the end, I knew it was worth it. Totally worth it. We have Elizabeth asking us if we can give the example of 1 week's work. Can I
Yeah,
talk just a little bit about some of the pokes at the beginning? Also, Xavier kind of said the pokes in there.
yeah,
So what we
that's
have done is
amazing.
turned these 12 weeks into 4 different chunks of 3 weeks each. I'm sometimes bad at math when I'm talking out loud, so please correct me, Shelley, if I'm getting any of that wrong. So we begin with 3 really intensive weeks that we call the Wonder Weeks. And there we throw, is it once every day or once every other day,
It's
Shelley?
every day. It's
Okay,
every
okay,
day.
okay.
And it's quick and punchy.
These really specific little, they seem superficial, but they're designed to strike at the core of the ways that people make sense of the world that actually integrates their cognition and their emotion. So one of them is world records. So if you have fossils, just one of the random boring topics, what have been the biggest fossils that have been found? What are the oldest fossils that have been found? What are the smallest fossils that have been found? What are the first fossils that are found? What are the most, when is the last time that somebody has found a fossil? Turns out that approaching things through these world records, these extremes, is this very efficient way of getting a sort of profound grasp of what the limits of a thing are, and thus like what is reality, what is fantasy. And it's easy to do it. You can do the research really quick with AI. Yes, you'll sometimes get things wrong, but you also get things wrong sometimes with books too. But it's like the sort of thing that AI, but also books are like meant, a certain class of good books are meant to do really wonderfully. We do run through heroes. Who have been the heroes? I'll just choose fossils again, right? So you get into the bone wars of the 1860s, 50s, and 60s. So you get the heroes of fossils into Sue Hendrickson, who I like for various reasons, among them being that she found a T-Rex, the most wonderful T-Rex fossil found yet to humanity in what, 1998 or whenever that was. We can talk about Robert Beck, we can talk about whatever. We talk about proverbs. Okay, so this is hard because we look around the world to different cultures and see what proverbs, what pieces of wisdom do they have about your topic. Well, fossils are actually kind of a weird thing because they don't fit into cultures particularly well. People didn't know what fossils are relatively recently. There's a lot of syllables in that one. Except maybe they have known about fossils for a really long time. So you can talk about like what is like the deep history of fossils and human cultures. We do one called the shrink ray, where we say, okay, imagine that you're only a millimeter tall. Imagine that you're only a micrometer tall. That means, if you were this tall standing at your fingertip, that's a millimeter. And then if you did that again, So you're that tall and you hold it your tiny, tiny fingertip and you imagine something that's that small. That's a micrometer. Like, what would your topic look like if we popped you on it like this? So this is like just some examples of what 1 week at the beginning of work is. As we go on from this, the next 3 weeks are our research one. Here's where we mostly drop artificial intelligence from this. We go to books, we go to products of geek culture, of people who really love this topic, your topic, and have produced really great materials at it that are accessible at a popular level, at the level of your kid or you. And we go much more in depth into that. Then we do 3 weeks of finding personal meaning. Kids tend to like this stage the most. We call these things side quests. Shelley, you've already mentioned a couple of the side quests. You want to just rattle off a couple of the other ones?
Yeah, there's writing a parody song, coming up with a startup. There's writing a story, like often we use the like shrink down and then use all your senses, or like what would you experience in that story. Yeah, there's the Fermi estimates we put in there. Also, what the kids loved was make a meme. And like make a meme feels like a little bit like, yeah, Gen Alpha and all that. But you really have to think quite clearly of how do you summarize a concept into a meme. So yeah, we at the comedy skits they had a ball with, and we had a few YouTubers and people creating videos and that kind of thing. So yeah,
But this
so
and this is the sort of thing I love that you said that because this is the sort of thing that could, from the outside, seem cheap, right? A parody song, who cares about that? No, no, no. But if you have been led through doing all of these pokes, these prods to develop an actual rich understanding of your thing, you want to then go even deeper to write the best possible parody song or make the best possible meme. And then the final
yeah.
part of this is that that sort of most up to the students, that the integration, the masterpiece, the chef d'oeuvre, the personally created deep thing, which again is something that when people do project-based learning, oftentimes try to skip to that. So the kids spend most of the time on their process, but not on their understanding. We put that at the end so what they create is actually brilliant and deepens their understanding of the thing and of themselves.
So yes, it's a very personal journey. We're very big into the actual journey that goes into this and how the student is changed. There has been a request for like more examples. So we have to like balance this privacy of kids' work and then sharing it with the world. But we have asked our students from this cohort of who would be prepared to share their work. And so what I'm thinking is that we do a showcase where the kids and their parents have given permission to share their work. So keep an eye out for that because I think I can I can positively tell you that I have been floored by the amazing creations that these kids have made, not only for their masterpieces, but for those creative quests, but also for their logbooks. So this is also what we do is we encourage them to keep a portfolio of work as they're going along. So as they're finding out these cool world records, for example, or these cool heroes of their topics, they keep in a Google Documents and keeping that as like a portfolio or a logbook of work. So those are the kinds of things that we want to have a document of their journey. And especially for those of us who feel like we do a lot of learning, but we don't have a lot to show for it, we help create that paper trail. But it's not just a paper trail to show someone else, it's for those learners to go, when they're writing that parody song, to go, oh, let me go look at my logbook. Let me go and write a song about all these amazing world records. So yeah, I think that's like what's amazing about LiD. I did kind of scroll through our Google Classroom. I'm going to quickly show you that. This is our template classroom. It ended up gray, which is so boring. But we start each week. The template classroom ended up gray, and then the other two ended up more pretty. So this is we start each week with a mentor video, and here is Andy and I like introducing the week and like just explaining like what's coming up. There's there's Andy with all his board games. You see, I told you he was a board game nerd. So Andy at least gets an appearance. So this is how we start each week and just introduce the learners so they can watch that at any time and know what's coming ahead. And then what is coming ahead, like in this particular week, is our research week. So there's just two things that they need to do. But you can see the previous week they had one every day. So like the 1 to 5 is Monday to Friday. And so they then create the two truths and a lie. Is so fun. So this is like the whole outline of what's happening. They do the deep research and then they do like this transformation stuff. And then in the transformation section, we go into this section where they actually have to create their side quests and then they show off their work in the showcase. I'm just gonna like really quickly open that there. But this is the showcase where people will actually like come and post their work. Okay, that is, I just did that really quickly because I don't want to like reveal everybody's names and everything. But yes, perhaps end things off. Sophia says, so this is maybe you're the mom, like Sophia's mom. When my mom told me she signed me up for another class, gosh, I looked at her very suspiciously. Then I found out my topic, paint and its uses. I ran to the couch and screamed into a pillow. How on earth was I going to study paint for 3 months?
So
Turns
good.
out, I know. How about that one for you, Brandon? I think you might struggle with paint. It turns out I couldn't have been more wrong. My topic had way more depth than I realized. That hit me on day one. The first few weeks felt like trying to tame a lion. My topic felt so distant at first, but I kept digging. I found myself reading academic journals, essays, books about paint science and engineering, and I realized I was learning not just about paint, but about perseverance, curiosity, and the importance of asking the right questions.
Like you do.
Like you do. This is LiD, everybody. This is LiD Quest. And Sophia testifies to this that LiD is a journey that teaches a lot about yourself. Time management, importance, new ways of thinking, finding wonder in the ordinary. Every moment, struggle or breakthrough was rewarding, and the biggest lesson wasn't about the paint, it was about how much I grew. And we sat there next to Sophia in her journey, and I can absolutely attest to that. And she is just one of the many learners that went through this LiD quest and emerged as heroes of this learning journey. So I will send you all to our Learning in Depth quest page. It's a big old long page. If you are ready to enroll, you can go and enroll there. People were asking about scholarships and financial aid. Get in touch with us at hello@learningindepth.quest. As I say, we do want to make this as widely available as possible, but at the same time also making this business model sustainable because we do offer such a high touch, like individualized service. So let's stay in touch, stay on the LiD list. There's plenty of buttons as well to join our LiD list as well. But if this sounds like just the thing for your family, come and sign up here. This is the place to sign up. What will happen is you will fill in this form. You do have the option to choose just two of the categories. So if you want to like reduce the randomness just a tad and you want to like go, I want to do a science module, so I want to choose, say, animals and plants. You can tell us that. You can just choose animals and plants. Or if you want to do something more historical or humanities related, you could just go with culture and technology. So do that if you want to, or you can just go completely random and we will choose you a topic.
Shelley, sometimes we've gotten the question, could my family use this as, what we are counting for history for this year or for science for this year? What's your thought on that?
Yeah, so look, we're not a school, we're not registered as a school, and also here I am in South Africa talking about American homeschooling rules, but I do know that you would be able to use this as credit. So depending on the rules for your state, you could turn this into a program, but that would then be onto you. But this has for me become like our catch-all for our additional subjects, so science and history and geography as well. Depending if you want to get a science kind of module or into your homeschool, and maybe it's not even for state credit, but it's for you feeling like you're doing science or you feeling like you're doing history, then go and choose, for history, go and choose the culture and technology. And you can also within that topic go and look. I mean, even if you choose animals, you can go and choose the history of pigs. If you get pigs, you can go look at the history of the domestication of pigs and how I've just actually watched an amazing documentary about that. You can also frame your topic through a historical lens or through a biological lens. There's actually quite a lot of leeway that you can have once you get your topic. So yeah, so does that answer your
Yes.
question, Brandon?
Yes. Quite excellently. Thank you.
And that yeah, so fill in that form. We'll be taking payment through a service called PayHip. So once you click on this proceed to payment, you'll be taken through to a page that looks like this. Now, depending on how many learners you are registering, you must choose. If you're just registering the one, you choose the one. And look, I've added little scuba divers here. So there's 2 scuba divers for the 2 learners and 3 scuba divers and 4 or 5. If you have more than 5 learners in your family, come and chat to us and we can organize a special deal for you. This is within your household. So within your household or family unit, you can get that discount. So just choose the appropriate one there. And you will then, so if you've got the 2 learners, for example, there's your bundle, and we've kind of given the total price so that you get the discount for the additional learners. And you can either just click buy now and you will buy that through PayPal. You can see that's popping up there. And then we will send you a welcome guide. And then from the 14th of January, we'll start the orientation. We'll obviously stay in touch in between that. But from the 14th of January, we start orientation and our opening ceremony. Andy and I have become quite, this is from our LiD opening ceremony. And I don't want to give things away, but this at the end you get a LiD award. It's like a Grammy. It's amazing. So yes, we're also big on ritual and celebration of milestones in this amazing journey that we're on. Okay, everybody. Wowzers. We always go over time with this. So thank you for those of you who are still around. If you have any questions, hello at learningindepth.quest. We will happily answer those questions. Go and look at learningindepth.quest, the website. You can enroll there. You can go and see the questions board. We will post a recording of this open house. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for your emoji stickers and from all of you all around the world. And thank you, Brandon. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you for
Shelley.
starting this. This has changed my life, that's for sure.
Thank you for bringing this to perfection. All right. Farewell, everyone.
Toodles!
Bye.
I stole your line.